Story 1. Berchtesgaden, The Silence Below. When Dr. Sarah Muller reviewed the photo, she didn't remember smiling. But her reflection did, and the teeth weren't hers. She'd taken the job out of desperation, 3 months alone in the Bavarian Alps, documenting hidden Nazi infrastructure. Once the winter snow closed the mountain road, she'd be trapped at the Kelstein house with no way down. Her assignment lay beneath the infamous Eagle's Nest, a network of forgotten concrete tunnels sealed behind a false wall for nearly 80 years. Her Zimmerman, the local curator, found them by accident during foundation work. No mold, no decay, he'd said, handing her the keys. It's like time never touched it. At first, it all looked normal. Old desks, rusted filing cabinets, curled propaganda. But then she noticed the floor plan didn't make sense. Hallways doubled back on themselves. Rooms repeated. Her compass spun endlessly. The deeper she went, the warmer it felt, yet the air froze her breath. By day 3, the bunker started listening. Footsteps echoed behind her. Her voice bounced back seconds too late. She began narrating out loud, just to stay grounded. But when she played it back, 2 voices answered. Testing, she'd said. 2 voices, in perfect sync. That night she dreamed of endless tunnels. Figures in decayed uniforms wandered through the dark. They didn't walk, they drifted. The mist clung to their bodies and pulsed with each breath. She woke to damp footprints on the floor, leading away from her bed, toward the sealed bunker door. She returned to the deepest corridor, where she found a circular pit recessed into the floor, perfect, black, and smooth. It reflected nothing. Symbols lined the walls, shifting just out of view. When she leaned in, her reflection stared back, then turned its head without her. Then it smiled. Its teeth were not her teeth. The temperature plunged. Moisture beaded on the walls. Her headlamp flickered, and the symbols began to move. Then came the voices again, inside her this time. You found us. You found us. She ran. The halls stretched. Time distorted. Her limbs felt weightless and heavy all at once. Her breath echoed back wrong. When she finally emerged into the mountain daylight, Zimmerman was there, wide-eyed. Dr. Muller, you've been gone 6 days. Her watch said 3 hours. She packed to leave that evening. But in the window reflection, her image lagged behind. It didn't follow, it copied. The drive down was endless. Her GPS never moved. The Kelstein house loomed in the rearview mirror, growing larger instead of smaller. She stopped in the next town, ordered coffee. The receipt read, €0, thank you for your research, signed in her handwriting. She kept driving, trying to reach Munich. But every road bent back toward Berchtesgaden. Every station buzzed with static, until one broke through in her own voice. Calm, flat, wrong. At sunrise, she left the car and walked toward the Austrian border. The mountains twisted behind her. The sun never moved. Later, her Zimmerman found the vehicle parked along the trail. The keys were on the seat. A note rested beside them. The research is complete. The documentation is perfect. Time doesn't move down there. The entrance was sealed, but locals still report flickering lights in the mountain. Some say it's just wind. Others say the voices never stopped. The concrete doesn't rot. It doesn't forget. And now neither does she. Story 2. Quedlinburg, the Merchant's Debt. The restoration of Quedlinburg's historic market square was hailed as a triumph of cultural preservation. But Emma Hoffman, lead archaeologist, knew something was wrong the moment her metal detector screamed over a perfect circle of cobblestones, an area absent from every map, every survey. Weeks passed. Everywhere else, they uncovered the usual: pottery shards, coins, fragments of old life. But that one spot remained untouched. No debris, no soil shift. Just smooth stones that seemed to subtly shift when no one looked directly. Probably just different soil, her assistant Marcus said. Maybe an old well. Emma nodded, but the feeling of unease lingered. The cobblestones looked older, smooth from time but never disturbed. It was as if no one had walked on them in centuries. One rainy night, alone under the glare of work lights, her shovel struck something. A wooden box, dark, intact, marked with carvings that danced and shimmered in ways no language ever should. She should have logged it, reported it, but instead she opened it. Inside, 13 silver coins etched with anguished faces, a braid of hair, and a mirror that reflected only darkness. Emma pocketed the contents. She couldn't say why, only that it felt inevitable. That night she dreamed of the square during a famine. Merchants stood still, their eyes fixed on her. One woman approached, plainly dressed, yet something about her cut through the dream like a cold blade. "You unearthed what should have stayed buried," she said, voice sharp and certain. "Containment is not destruction. And you, dear Emma, have broken the seal." Emma woke with soil beneath her nails and blood on her tongue. The sight turned strange. Marcus stopped coming. Others quit. Those who remained whispered of shadows. Cameras failed. Blurry figures crept into photographs, figures that hadn't been there. And Emma kept returning at night. The mirror now showed her visions of plague carts, torchlit trials, and a woman surrounded by firelight. Margaret Kessler, a merchant's wife accused of thriving while others starved. Her goods remained fresh. Her prices stayed low. People whispered about bargains, until the town turned. Trial, punishment, silence, but her presence never left. The priest had sealed her influence beneath the square, embedding protective symbols in the stonework, sacred geometry to keep her contained. Now that pattern was broken. Visitors complained of cold winds in midsummer. Shopkeepers found their goods rotting overnight. Locals with roots in Quedlinburg stopped coming to the square altogether. Emma tried to return the box. The earth refused. The cobblestones resisted, rearranged themselves under moonlight, pulsing faintly, like a living thing. Then Margaret appeared, not in dreams, in Emma's home, standing, waiting, her face human but wrong. Too perfect, too still. "You've awakened my debt," she whispered, "but you can pay it forward. The square needs a keeper, someone to balance the scales." Emma fled through the old alleys, but every path led back. The square called to her, not in words, but in certainty. She understood now. The seal had never been about hiding. It was about exchange. One soul tethered to hold the other in place. Emma returned to the circle, whispered the containment rite, and stepped into the stones. Light bloomed, then vanished. The next morning, her colleagues found her lying peacefully in the center of the square. No wounds, no struggle. Official cause, sudden cardiac arrest. But the old families of Quedlinburg tell another story. They say Emma still walks the square on foggy nights, watching, waiting. The box was never found. And sometimes, when the streets fall silent, you can hear whispers beneath the cobblestones. Two voices, one ancient, one modern, forever bargaining to keep the city safe. The square remains open, but its debts are never truly paid. Story 3. Hamburg, the Fog Walker. The Elbe Tunnel had become Hannah Weber's secret shortcut. It let her slip beneath the harbor and avoid the chaos of Hamburg's Reeperbahn district, essential for someone juggling dock work, school, and single motherhood. The tunnel felt oddly safe. Its century-old tiles and quiet corridors gave it the feel of a relic removed from time. Until the city changed. Two people had been found unresponsive in recent weeks, both in the oldest stretch of tunnel near forgotten maintenance paths. Police blamed medical episodes, but both were found in the same fog-drenched corner. No wounds, no clear cause. Still, Hannah kept using it. The shortcut saved her time, and time wasn't something she could afford to lose. On a Thursday night, thick fog curled into the stairwells. Hannah descended into the tunnel. The air was wet, heavy. Fluorescent lights buzzed above, their flicker bending shadows across the tiles. Midway through, she heard footsteps behind her. They matched hers exactly. She stopped. So did they. She turned. The tunnel behind her was empty, the mist frozen in place. She walked faster. So did the steps. By the time she reached the central chamber, where the ceiling rose and the tunnel walls turned dark, the lights cut out. Then red emergency lights kicked in. The corridor pulsed with crimson flashes. Shadows leaned in at the edges of her vision. And then a figure appeared. Tall, broad, wearing old utility coveralls, his face hidden behind a construction-era gas mask. In one hand, he carried a long, metallic tool, industrial, sharpened, glinting red under the flickering lights. He didn't run. He walked, slowly, deliberately, like he had all the time in the world. Hannah ran. She veered into a side corridor, a service path that led toward a long-abandoned pump station. The fog followed like it had weight. His footsteps echoed behind her, steady and patient. She reached the pump chamber, heart racing. Massive valves lined the walls, rusted and cold. She ducked behind an old machine, breath shallow. Then he spoke. His voice filtered through the gas mask, grainy and distant. "You're not supposed to be here." "What do you want?" she shouted. "The tunnel needs cleansing." He wasn't chasing people. He was trying to protect the tunnel from contamination, he said. Not disease, but emotion, behavior, noise. Every person who passed through left something behind, and he was the one assigned to clean it. She spotted a broken pipe and gripped it tight. When he stepped close, she swung. The blow staggered him. Just enough. She sprinted for an exit. Doors were locked. Paths twisted in unfamiliar ways. Her only chance was a ladder, leading to a maintenance hatch overhead. She climbed. Below her, the gas mask appeared. He was climbing too. The hatch was sealed. As he reached her, she shoved hard against the ladder, knocking both of them to the ground. The tool clattered out of his hand. Dazed, he groaned. "You don't understand," he mumbled. "The tunnel talks. I'm trying to quiet it." She grabbed the tool and ran. Officers found him minutes later, muttering about systems and silence. No charges were filed. He was taken in for evaluation. The city quietly restricted access to the oldest tunnels. Hannah never used the shortcut again. She walked surface streets now. It took longer, but the air felt cleaner. Still, on foggy nights, she sometimes hears it, the soft hiss of a gas mask. Inhale, exhale. The tunnel's lights are brighter now. Patrols are frequent, but the fog still drifts in from the harbor. And deep underground, the pumps still hum, a rhythm like breathing, counting down until the quiet returns. Story 4, Black Forest, the Symbiosis. Dr. Lena Richter arrived in the Black Forest to study the underground fungal networks that connected trees across ecosystems. Her remote research cabin, deep in the woods, far from major roads, seemed like the perfect place for focused fieldwork. The locals were friendly but evasive. They mentioned a forestry crew that vanished in the 1950s during storm cleanup. Soil instability, they shrugged. The area had once been marked restricted, though the signs had long since vanished. Lena didn't care for folklore. She trusted data. And this forest was rich, thick with ancient fungi linking roots and soil in ways science had barely begun to understand. Her samples were extraordinary. Under the microscope, the fungal filaments formed precise, almost intelligent structures. When stained with fluorescent dye, the patterns glowed like neural circuits, complex, elegant, alive. By the third week, her data exceeded anything she'd seen. She might have discovered the largest organism on Earth. Then the rash appeared. It started on her hands, red threads beneath the skin. She assumed a reaction to the soil. But no ointment helped. The threads thickened, spread up her arms, following the same geometric patterns from her slides. She kept studying, rational, methodical, but part of her had begun to change. She dreamed of vast caverns beneath the forest, filled with bioluminescent fungi that breathed with her. Other figures walked among the glowing growths, human in shape, but altered. Their skin bore the same markings, now climbing across her own. She awoke drenched in a slick, dew-like substance. Under the microscope, spores, almost identical to those in her samples. The forest wasn't just alive. It was reaching out, and it had chosen her. She tried to leave. The car wouldn't start. Filaments had spread into the engine, fine and white, woven into metal and rubber alike. She sealed the cabin and fought back. Antifungal treatments, bleach, anything. Her skin burned. The glowing lines receded slightly. It was working. Barely. The forest responded. Roots shifted beneath the cabin floor. The air turned dense with spores. At night, a deep hum echoed through the trees, like breath through hollow wood. The dreams grew stronger. In the mycelium, she saw faces. Strangers who somehow knew her name. Her only safe space became the bathroom, air-filtered, sealed tight. There, she worked around the clock, documenting every transformation. The fungus had reached her nervous system. It was no longer just infecting. It was communicating. She knew she couldn't kill it, but she could negotiate. By controlling the growth, she kept her mind. A hybrid, part scientist, part something else. Her skin shimmered faintly green now. Her pupils glowed in low light. But she was still Lena. Mostly. She hiked out of the forest, pale but lucid. At the nearest town, she reported a gas leak. Officials sealed the zone. Her university welcomed her back, unaware of how much she'd changed. She filed a careful report. Unprecedented fungal density in old-growth forest. She left out the rest. At night, she placed her hand on soil samples. Sometimes they pulsed back. The forest remembered her, and she remembered it. The change was permanent, but balanced, symbiotic. She was still a scientist, but also something more, something older, something rooted. The Black Forest remains beautiful, vast, quiet, but beneath the soil, a network waits, curious, patient, and intelligent. And through Lena Richter, it learns.